minutes until qualifying.
Jawel.
I see Margot sent a message saying that she is joining us. She's going to jump in while qualifying starting.
Okay. Eminem is vandaag.
Okay, so welcome to the three in the chat, Mr. Melosi, Mr. Pace. I'm not sure who the third person is. Welcome, good to have you here. We're just getting ready to start with race 6 of the GTSSA Ladies League. We're going to do a quick test start and then hopefully we'll be able to get into qualifying if there's no problems.
Good evening, viewers. Thank you for signing in. Stream going on my cell so I can actually see if there's any comments coming through.
So far we got Kaylin with Let's Go Ladies and Melose with a little bit of eye emoji.
Like, oogies. He's checking out the ladies.
Yeah.
That's Melose. Mr. Pace, thank you for signing in, buddy.
Yeah, great to have you guys here. Share the links with your social media followers. Let's get the ladies as much support as we can.
Get your ladies involved. You can grow this league as well.
Yeah, definitely. We're still waiting for Mrs. Fluffy Butt to come join us. Yeah, we just see a test start for the ladies.
He's a bit preoccupied at the moment, but I'll definitely get it going. You can be assured of that someday. Looks like there's no conviction issues as such, so that it's good.
Yeah, Mr. Melos wants to know if he has a girlfriend that races here. Would she be Mrs. Backmarker? No, she would be crazy. Wouldn't she be Eleanor Checho, Mrs. Checo?
Who spun out at the back there? That'll be Fruity Spine. I hope she keeps it together in the race. She's got the proper car for this track in that little Alpha. She can just be able to balance that MR configuration.
Okay, so qualifying should be live any second now. As soon as the room opens, we're going to see all of them rushing out. Just send a quick message.
Is quali actually live?
Yeah, they are go now. So 10 minutes qualifying, just while they're on their outlaps, give us something to chat about. I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors. So it's great to have them on board still. They're involved with GTA Season 2 as well. Track Art and TGN Racing Simulators. We have, if I can find her on track, Mrs. Eminem, who is Mrs. Track Art, and then Vanna, TGN Racing Simulators, her husband. So big shout out to them. I'm slightly biased. I do think that's one of the better liveries out there. Possibly because I made it, but it was under strict orders on the color scheme. So yeah, thanks Mrs. Eminem and Mr. Eminem. We've got Fruity Spine with us tonight in the Alpha. Also quite a distinctive, colourful looking livery. Finnicker Floyd running the Corvette.
Half blue, half red.
Yeah. We've got Mrs. Finnick having a
Two-Face tonight.
Slight issue on the last turn. That's going to ruin her drive for the first lap. She's in the Porsche, racing Crazy 8 colours. Bev Mini Cooper in the Beetle. Out front, Annika AR Outlaw 66. Big Dodge Viper for this tight, twisty little track. It's going to be interesting. MBLB 011 in the Supra with the standard livery. That's going to be an interesting test. Very quick car, but quite twitchy. Yeah, and that's our field. So maybe give us some thoughts on the cars, so long, Mr. Stain, who's my co-commentator for tonight.
Well, if Mrs. Outlaw can actually qualify quite well, that Viper is one of the best launchers on the grid. She can get to the front on a track like this and she can defend. She's going to be very well set for the win. Then we've got Mrs. Eminem in that Peugeot. Very, very good car. Very stable for an MR. It's one of the most stable MR cars out there. It's going to be a strong one, but it is a bit heavy on the rear tires though, so she must just manage those. We've got Fruity Spine and the Alpha. This for me is the go-to car on a track like this. If she can balance that car going through the corners, she should be quick. It's going to be the best on field. It's going to be the best on tires. So I think she's in a strong position with that car. Then we've got the MBLB in that Supra. I don't know. It's going to be tricky. That car is very twitchy on the throttle. But it's super quick out of the corners if you can manage the acceleration on that car. It's a quick one. So yeah, she might be strong with that one.
Yeah, and just on Margot, she's obviously for the people that joined us early on, she was struggling with the internet, so she actually only just joined now as qualifying started. So this qualifying is her warm up. A little bit of a disadvantage. Next is Floyd in the Corvette.
Yeah, Fanatics Floyd Corvette. Not a car that I've driven all that much. I don't really want to give. I don't know. It is an all-round good car from what I've seen over the last couple of months. So yeah, she might be in a strong position. I don't think it's the best car for this type of track though. So we'll see how she handles it. It is a bit heavy on fuel. So if she can manage that, I think she can perform quite well. Then you've got Mini Cooper Bev in the Beetle. one of the best all-round cars on GTS in the Group 3 category. So the problem with that car is the launch. It is extremely slow on the launch. On that little Beetle, I always launch manually and try and control the wheel spin by myself. So if she can manage that, it's a very good car. It's quite nimble, it is quick, and it does carry quite a bit of top end. So I think it'll be a good car around this track as well.
So just looking at
all the ladies,
looking at the front, I see AR Outlaw's done a 50.0. She's just pitted for a fresh set of rubber, 2/10 ahead of Mrs. Eminem. Sorry, 55.0, one too many zeros there. Mrs. Eminem then is a further 2/10 ahead of Mrs. Finnick, who's 4/10 ahead of Bev, another 10.5 to Margot, 1.2 seconds to Floy, and Fruity Spine has just popped up into 4th place, only 3/10 off the lead, with a little bit of lag there. So
I think, look at this Alpha. I think it'll come alive halfway through the race when the fuel and the tyre wear starts kicking in. That's when this car will really come alive. It definitely has the advantage on fuel and tyre wear, so watch out for that.
Okay, I haven't driven it too much. I know the GR4 is definitely good on tyres and fuel. But I'll take your word from your L&R experiences, driving all the different unusual cars.
Yeah.
I see Mrs. Finnick's closed in a little bit in the front there, only 1.0173 behind Annika, getting to grips with that Porsche. Porsche, most of you know, is pretty much a great all-rounder, does everything well. It's a little bit maybe sluggish and or a little bit unstable on a full fuel load, but once you get the fuel down slightly, it does handle better. So I'm just going to.
Yeah, I think the thing that Mrs. Finnick needs to manage is the tyre wear more than the fuel. The Porsche is a great car, but as soon as those rears start wearing out, it's going to become very tail happy, especially on the braking.
I see AR Outlaws, Annika's 2/10 up on her first sector, but been quite a tricky track. Fruity Spine just jumped ahead. I was just going to say, Annika still.
That Alpha kicking in, buddy.
Yeah. Annika with her half tank of fuel and the fresh tyres, 3/10 up on the second sector. Let's see if she can hold it together through this tricky last turn. What do you know about Tsubaka, or however you pronounce the track we had tonight? Tsukuba, there we go.
Tsukuba is how you pronounce it,
yeah.
Well, I can tell you,
great lap
the
by
first corner,
Annika.
Wow, 54.6, that's awesome. That's a very good lap time. What I can tell you, there's 2 corners that you have to be extremely careful with. That's that first one. You can outbrake yourself very, very quickly if you just push that a little bit, because you get a little bit of a crest coming onto that main straight just before the braking mark for the first corner, and you can very, very quickly overshoot your braking marker and run a little bit deep. That's one of the tricky corners. And then coming up to just want to get my bearing straight, first, second, third, coming on the 4th corner, which is a little right-hander before you coming to the back section of the circuit.
Yeah, that's my trickiest corner here.
Yeah, the line that you carry there is very important for a quick lap time. You can cut that corner quite a bit, but be careful, it tends to push you off into the grass.
Yeah.
If you get it right, that's the key to a fast lap around the circuit. So that's going to be the 2 corners that I would say we're going to have to watch carefully over the race, because those are the 2 make or break corners on the circuit.
And then the last corner, depending on how aggressive you go into it, if you do get it slightly wrong and end up in that gravel, that can cost you a lot. Where some of the other corners are a little bit more forgiving.
The last corner is one. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just going to say we're up to 10 people in the chat. So how's it to run, Alvain? Everyone else, drop a message. Let us know you're there. Carry on, Stain.
That last corner is one of those corners that you can actually run a couple of lines through there without actually losing any time. You can actually cut and keep the line, the tighter line, and hug the curb. You're gonna compromise a little bit of exit speed, but you can carry the speed through the corner, where you can actually cut into a late apex and carry a bit more speed down the straight. It's gonna give you more or less the same lap time. It's gonna determine whether you are following somebody, maybe give a bit of slip on the main straight, which is gonna determine your line through that corner. But yeah, if you outbrake yourself in that corner, you are gonna carry a huge penalty getting out of the kitty litter. So it is a corner to be quite careful with on the braking zone.
Okay, so we're about to get underway. AR Outlaw, Fruity Spine, Mrs. Vinnig, Mrs. Eminem are your top four. Welcome to Anton from Outlaws Racing. Obviously, Mrs. Outlaw's wonderful partner encouraged her to get involved in sim racing like everyone else out there should, and Derek as well. Great to see you guys supporting the ladies. Standing start, so let's go. Fingers crossed.
Let's see how the ladies launch. Watch that Viper, that thing is a beast off the circle, off the start line.
There they're all away. Some wheels, big wheel spin from Mrs. Eminem. It's going to possibly cost her a few places.
She's doing great in fourth place.
Fruity Spine right on the back of Annika with the Viper and the Alpha. Yeah, see Mrs. Eminem managed to defend and keep fourth.
Fruity Spine on the rear of Annika. She's pushing hard.
Extremely hard track to overtake on. You've got to line it up. Where would you do it? Into this hairpin we're coming up to now?
That's one of the corners, but you have to be very careful if you want to overtake there, because you've got such a small gap there to actually make an overtake work. I would probably say last corner or first corner would be the best place for an overtake.
Yeah. Alternatively, sit on the back of the person and
just save fuel.
wait for them to make a mistake while you save fuel. Definitely.
Exactly.
Looks like we just got a little bit of a breakaway on the front two, and then Mrs. Vinnig in a little bit of no man's land with a second ahead and a second behind. Obviously one little slide and that all changes. See Mrs. Vinnig got a great exit there, and she's back into the slipstream. So the front three now getting away. Fourth place Mrs. Eminem, fifth place Margot in the Supra with Bev Mini Cooper right behind her, and then Vinniger Floyd in seventh.
I'm going to keep an eye on Mini Cooper Bev and Mrs. Eminem.
Margot
MBLB and Mini Cooper Bev. I think that's going to be a battle to watch out for. But Fruity Spine in that Alpha is going to hunt down AR Outlaw, I think, later on in the race when the tyre wet kicks in.
She's hanging in there, gap at 1.2, 1 second, fluctuates per corner. Obviously on the straights the Viper can open up a bit and the Alpha closes on the tight stuff.
That's correct, yes. You can see she's already closed up by 3/10 in that middle sector, so it's going to be a seesaw race the whole way through, I think.
Yeah, so I think we're running, if I remember correctly, 4 times fuel and 5 times tyre wear, or the other way around, one of the two. So it should be a one-stopper tonight, 35 laps of the short track. That means, from what I was watching in practice with the ladies, they should be getting about 20 to 24 laps on a tank. So it's going to be interesting to see who pits when and what the strategies are.
Yeah, but I think tyre wear is gonna nail the ladies a little bit tonight, especially with the circuit being as twisty. A little bit of a few fast corners, a few slow corners, but I think tyre wear is going to play a role tonight.
Yeah. Just while we were watching the front, Bev Mini Cooper did manage to get past Margot, opened up a second gap, and now she needs to try hunt down 3.3 seconds to Mrs. Eminem.
Let's keep an eye on that gap and see what she does. Eminem has got the Peugeot, which I think should rotate quite a bit better.
Big slide from Margot out the hairpin. I think that's possibly what happened to her, what might have happened, because she's 3 seconds ahead of Floy, and that gap was slightly bigger when she was ahead, so she's lost some pace, as well as Bev Mini Cooper now been running in the clear and able to get away a little bit. Just looking at lap times here, Margot did a 58 on lap 3, so 2.5 seconds slower than her previous laps. And it actually looks like she's catching right back up to Bev at the moment. Gap under a second now. Just take out Annika up to 2 seconds ahead in the lead. Fruity
Cooper almost lost the rear of the Beetle. Sorry, she had a massive power slide coming out of turn number 4.
Mrs. Eminem's closing on Mrs. Finnick as well for 3rd and 4th. But here goes Margot looking up the inside of Bev. The super power versus a Beetle. She's got the inside, but she has to back out with the corner coming up too soon.
Oh, she's going to out-drag that Beetle on the straight.
But unfortunately she went wide. Into the wall. Like I was saying, the dangers of that last corner when you're not quite on your normal line. I think a safe option would have been to pull back in behind and go for turn 1, like you said. So let's go to the battle for 3rd. Mrs. Finnick still just a second ahead. Melissa is talking about Supra's going to Narnia, but we know he's the only one that's in the closet, and Mrs. Finnick goes wide as well. A bit too much power on the exit there.
Up 3rd place to Mrs. Eminem at the moment. Lost a good 5-6 seconds there, Bitty.
Bev's now right on her tail. Looking at her last lap time, she did a 55.1, which was her quickest lap of the race. Before that, she actually only was 1.7 seconds slower. Oh, sorry, no, wait.
She lost a good 5-6 seconds there, eh?
Yeah. Something weird with the
She
timing
got a bit of damage, which has she picked up a bit of damage, but that went away after about 30 seconds.
Some reason
lost a bit of time as well.
My clock was showing 58 seconds or 57 seconds, but it was actually a 1:02 the last lap. I changed car and it corrected itself. So yeah, she lost about 6-7 seconds there. Bev running constant 56s, Finnick Floy in the 57s. MBLB had another problem that last lap. Did a 1 minute flat. So two errors in 2 laps there. Annika out front. Super consistent 55.1, 55.1, 55.1 over the last 3 laps. And that's what's taken her gap out to 3 seconds now.
Fruity Spine is about 2/10 off. She made a small mistake on lap 7 with a 55.5, but she's been running 55.3, 55.3, so she's just at 2/10 off from Annika. But I think that's going to swing the other way around when we get about halfway.
Yeah, she's also got more fuel now of that Viper being quite thirsty. You can actually see that Annika's just above half a tank. Fruity's halfway between half and quarter.
Tyre wear are roughly, Alpha is a little bit heavier on the front left compared to the Viper, but very, very similar on tyre wear at the moment.
Yeah. Mrs. Eminem, now that she doesn't have Mrs. Finnick in front, actually closing the gap to both of them. She's now only 1.7 seconds behind, 5.5 seconds off the lead, and she was also in the 55s. 55.1 on lap 7, 55.4 on lap 8.
She keeps it together, she'll be very close to Fruity Spine in the next lap or 2, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, their fuels.
With her spinning out, still 5 seconds behind Mrs. M&M, so that gap is staying constant at the moment. She's opened up a slight gap to Mrs. Bev Cooper at the moment, so she's recovering well after that spin coming out of the hairpin.
Definitely, and another 55.1 from Annika that lap, taking the gap back over 4 seconds. I see fastest lap so far is 54.6, which was the same as her qualifying, actually slightly faster. But then all the other laps afterwards, it's 55 1s and 2s.
Incredible consistency from the lady. Wow.
Mrs. Eminem's taken another half a second out of Fruity Spun, who did a 56.1 on the last lap. Last lap round, Mrs. Eminem was actually the quickest of the lot on a 55.10.
Yeah, I've got high hopes for that Alpha when the wear kicks in. I'm actually quite excited to see what she'll be doing as the race progresses.
I think it's shaping up nicely. Obviously, second and third are a little bit behind. Gaps now from Mrs. Eminem to AR Outlaws still at 5.5. The question is, their fuel slightly higher. They'll have to put less in, saving a couple seconds. So, depending on how this race goes and what that difference ends up being, it could come into play. After her little slide out and doing the 1 minute 2 lap, Mrs. Finnick is also still on the pace in the 55s. 10.9 seconds off the lead. As I say, she has another moment on the same corner. Bev Mini Cooper 14.8. She's still in the 56s, although 2 laps ago she did do a 55.5, her quickest lap of the race. Floyd 9 seconds further back, dipping into the mid 56s now. Margot running similar, slightly quicker, fractionally 4 seconds behind at the rear, and being such a short lap, 28 seconds, being 1/3 of the way through, these two near the back could actually end up getting lapped if they have a few more incidents and off-track excursions, which would then obviously be interesting with the 3 leaders.
I must say, I'm quite pleased to see MBLB. She's not doing it so bad on tyre wear as I expected she would be doing. That Supra I expected to be one of the heaviest cars on tyre wear, but it's actually holding on quite well. Saying that, Mrs. Vinniger Floy in the vet is looking the best on tyres, to be honest. So actually looking after them very well in the Corvette.
We're going to ride on board a little bit with Fruity Spine. Gap now sitting at 4.9 to the car ahead, 1.1 behind in this little Alpha. And let's just watch her drive a little bit. Currently on a good lap.
She's keeping quite a constant gap to about 5 seconds from Margot.
From Annika. Yeah.
So she's not doing too badly. Mrs. Eminem is within 1.2 seconds from Fruity Spine, so it's going to be quite a interesting battle to watch. She's creeping closer and closer and closer, then losing a little bit on the middle section, but overall she's a little bit faster than Fruity Spine over a lap. So the last lap, Mrs. Fruity Spine did a 55.5, where Eminem did a 55.6, so it's very, very close together.
Yeah.
Between those 2 ladies.
That lead at the fronts now 5.7, so being a shorter track, that obviously does more damage than a 5-second lead would do at somewhere like Bathurst or Le Mans.
Very true, but if I look at the fuel between Annika and Fruity Spine, well, they're not that bad off. M is probably the best off between the 3 of them.
Yeah, I was just
it's probably
jumping.
about a 2 second difference in pit stop, I guess.
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting, especially with Eminem and Fruity Spine having a slight difference in fuel and being 1 second apart. you might be tempted to underfuel a little bit, or if the other person puts in slightly too much, that could cause a place change.
Well, looking at the gap difference, Fruity Spine has got a little bit of less fuel than M&M, so M&M might just leapfrog her in the pits. But it's going to be very, very close. The difference in fuel is so little that I think they're going to come out of the pit side by side, to be honest. If the gap stays where it is now at 1.1 seconds, we'll see how it goes. You can expect pit stop within the next 3 laps, more or less.
Yeah. Just looking at Annika's consistency again, lap 12 she did a 55.5 and then went straight back to 55.0, 55.1, 55.1.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's on it.
Yeah, it was just lap 10, 11 and 12 were slightly off. Otherwise, out of her 15 laps, I think she's done 9 or 10 that were 55.0, 55.2, which are outstanding.
Yeah, it's incredible. She's in a very nice groove at the moment.
Yeah.
She's pulling half a second a lap on average from the girls behind. So she's doing very well. Bit heavy on fuel though, but she's doing more than enough to compensate in the pit stops.
Yeah. Talking about pit stops, we're down to a quarter tank on lap 17, so another 5 laps possibly, and we should start seeing some action. Although being lap 7,
about the halfway mark, so
correct.
I think we should see them running into the pits at the moment.
Yeah, I've noticed that
for the next lap.
Their tyres are still looking fairly solid. I think the Beetles, we've got Finnicker Floy that's managed to collect the pit wall. I've done that here a couple of times, possibly just coming out the last corner, and she's battling to get it out there because it's got that invisible outer wall.
No, she can't go into the pits there. She's going to be kicked out all the time. No, she won't be able to.
It won't let you. It's a solid wall. I think
Annika's done the same. Annika collected her. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, one of the two, which is unfortunate.
Got the lead, guys. Well, this has shaken up things quite a bit now because Fruity Spine half a second ahead of Mrs. M&M, with Annika another 1.3 back. So it's a lead that she had of 6 seconds has completely been wiped out.
Yeah,
she also the least of fuel left in the car, so that's going to hurt her. Double whammy. Ouch.
Yeah. Well, I know that Annika and Fruity Spine pitted in qualifying, so they know where the pit entrance is, but this track does have that invisible section halfway round, so possibly there we see a couple of them going into the pit lane, Fruity Spine, M&M and Annika, AR Outlaw.
But you know what's going to happen now, Stephen, is with Annika, the pace she's got, she's going to be 3rd or 4th coming out of the pits.
Yeah, you see,
she's got to fight her way through the field to get back to the lead, and it's going to be
a challenge. But
be something to watch. That
I see M&M had 17%, Fruity Spine 14%, and Annika 4% left on fuel.
Look at the gap between M&M and Fruity Spine. It's half a second.
Yeah, and that 10% fuels cost AR Outlaws 4.2 seconds. So without that incident, she would have still been 3 seconds ahead of these two.
Exactly.
But it's fine. It's going to make for an exciting second half of this race. All goes standard.
Wide open.
She had 7-second lead before that, so catching the 4 seconds up in the same time shouldn't be an issue, but she's going to have to get past both, which makes it fun for us.
She's got 3 seconds to catch up to Mrs. M&M. She should do it if she keeps the constant pace that she was running. She should be there in about 5 or 6 laps. And then we've got the front 3. Mrs. Finach should still pit.
Yeah, she's still got a pit.
She's got a 5-second lead. But looking at Fruity Spine and M&M, there's half a second in it. And then you've got Annika another 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds back. So that's going to be something to
If I was Mrs. Eminem, I'd be pushing really hard now, because if you could get ahead of the Alpha, and with those couple of tenths a lap she was averaging quicker, build up a gap while AR Outlaw tries to get past Fruity Spine. Sorry, not Annika. There we go.
You got it. Oh, look at that,
Fruity,
side by side onto the
great
back straight.
racing.
It's going to be all about power, buddy.
That Alpha's actually hanging on, surprisingly. Mrs. Fanatics into the pits.
She's going to lose the lead
yeah,
now.
Fruity Spine backed out of it. I was just saying before that that for Mrs. Eminem's race, she needs to get ahead and try to build a gap before AR Outlaw catches them.
Gap done just that, yeah.
Gap from the lead was 4.2, now it's 3.6, so 6 tenths on that lap, running at 54.9 the previous lap. Obviously the other two were overtaking each other, but with that slide, Fruity Spine lost about a second in total on that lap, and going wide on the last turn. Gap to the front's the second.
Now we need to see what Mrs. Eminem can do, because AR Outlaw is hunting down Fruity Spine, and if she gets caught up behind Fruity Spine, then Mrs. Eminem need to just use that and a bit of advantage and open up a gap.
Yeah, I just had a quick look at the fuel. AR Outlaw's got the most of all of them, but obviously the Viper does use more, so I think they all should be fueled correctly to the finish now, and it's purely who can go the fastest for the longest. What's your prediction here?
My prediction is Mrs. Eminem, I think, should just hold on to first place, but I think AR Outlaw should close up to Fruity Spine very, very quickly. And with the speed advantage of the Viper on the straight, I think it's going to be either a last corner or a first corner overtake, but I think AR Outlaw will take that second position. Unless Fruity Spine can make that Alpha extremely wide, it's going to be interesting battles.
Yeah, I think as we saw in the first half, Mrs. Eminem possibly would have even battled to pass that Alpha if it wasn't for running wide at the hairpin. So right now for all of them it's about not making mistakes. I see the front two were both in the high 55s that time around, and Annika was on the 50-0, so gap to the lead down to 2.7. We got
1.4 to Fruity Spine, so she's taken up a second in that last lap alone.
Correct, so that's what I'm saying. We got a Supergirl in the Viper, definitely on a mission now, pushing. We've got to make up the gap and get back in front, but also that's where mistakes can happen on this track. So
but it's going to be interesting because of the nature of the circuit. Overtaking is extremely difficult.
Yeah, and it's great after 23 laps to have a 3-second gap over the top three as well.
Yeah, very interesting.
This is finished 15 seconds further back.
The Porsche. But she's pitted now, so she just needs to close that gap. She's going to have a little bit of a tyre advantage, not too much unfortunately, but a lap or two, but let's see if she can close that 15-second gap down.
She's been running mostly in the 55s and 6s with the odd 57 thrown around. Bev quite close to her, also 55, 56, 57 range. Margot in 6th place, 56s and 7s, and Finnicker Floy running in the 57s, although she had an incident on the last lap that cost her a couple of seconds along the line.
Looking at her race pace, she's constantly in the mid 56s, so she's not too far off pace.
Yeah, this lap round, Fruity Spine and AR Outlaws again closed the gap a bit. Mrs. Eminem's opened a small gap, but Fruity Spine taking some back on the last turn. So it's corner by corner rather than lap by lap changes here. Briefly went down to 1.1, now it's opening up again. Yeah. See, Fruity Spine was 55.4 last time around. AR Outlaw 55.4 and 55.5 for Mrs. Eminem. But we know they're all pushing.
See that middle sector, Fruity Spine caught up another 2 tenths, 3 tenths now in the middle sector. So now Mrs. Eminem should open up a little bit on the straight again.
I think Annika, who we're watching on my side, went slightly wide. The gap briefly was up to about 2.5 to Fruity Spine, so she lost about 8/10. And going through the last corner, she's already pulled all of that back through the last sector.
That Viper is a beautiful car to drive. Such a good all-rounder and so solid. It's such a stable car.
That time around, they're all in the 55.5s and 55.6s. Oh, and there goes Annika. Outbraked.
Oh, she lost it.
Outbraked herself and touched the dirt going into the first hairpin. As we mentioned earlier, when you're pushing 100% in dirty tyres.
Oh, she just lost it again on dirty tyres.
That's going to bring Mrs. Finnick coming up soon.
She's right on her tail at the moment.
That's cost her about 13 seconds.
Less. More. She's cost her about 14 seconds there.
Yeah, now with the...
Just over 2 seconds behind the leader.
That Viper's still sliding around with the dirty tyres. She just needs to keep it on track for this lap and then get back on it. But that's brought Mrs. Finnick right into it. And we did say that one mistake here can be costly, but that doesn't rule AR Outlaw out here. She's 17 seconds behind now, so I don't think she should catch that up in the time remaining. But the two in front haven't made a mistake yet, where Mrs. Finnick had that spin early on. Annika's just had one. We saw Margot have a couple, Finnick Floy with the pits. So our two leaders are the only two without incident at the moment.
Well, they are running very similar lap times. The gap stays between the 1 and 1.3 second gap.
Yep.
So we'll see how tyre wear kicks in and who can manage the pace the better.
At the moment,
it's down to less than a second now. So
that last corner, the Renault Alpha's always a bit quicker through, and then normally on the first sector, Mrs. Eminem opens it back up a bit, although this time it's basically the same. We've got Durant in the comments going no. I'm sure that's for Annika. Race 6, she has won, I think, 4 of the previous rounds. So, 3 of the previous rounds. The last round she had an issue with fuel, and I think the first or second round, Mrs. Finnick won one of those two.
Correct, yes. But look at Fruity Spine. She's got the second. She got the gap to under a second.
Yeah, see, she's taking a nice tight line through the last turn. Mrs. Eminem stays wide and cuts in.
But with AR off the rear of Fruity Spine, she can concentrate solely now on hunting down Mrs. Eminem, and she's using it to great effect.
Definitely. Look at this lap time from AR, back in the 54s now. I don't know, Mrs. Finnick must have had an issue there, because she did a 101 on the last lap, dropping 8 seconds off the back, possibly trying to...
Cooper is right on her, less than a second behind her. That's
possibly trying to keep up with Annika, or overtaking incident, but yeah, we've got a great duel at the front here, staying at that 1 second mark. Pressure for Mrs. Eminem at the moment. I'd probably be watching my mirrors and going straight off on the last turn if it was me, so she's doing a great job to be so consistent. 55.8 and a 55.9 this time around. Five and a bit laps to go.
Just looking at the tyre wear between Mrs. Eminem and Fruity Spine, they are exactly spot on the same. There's no difference.
If anything, I think Fruity's got
exactly the same as well.
I think the Alpha has a fraction more on the front, if anything, but yeah, very close. Nice drive out the corner from Mrs. Eminem there.
I can see this gap opening up.
Yeah.
Got a good eye from the last
now it's into Fruity's corner. You can already see 1/10 on the entry. Mrs. Eminem nailed it that time and pulled the 10th back on the exit. So 5 laps to go, 4 and a bit. I think with the current gap.
Annika's pulled back about 3 seconds from the time that she's lost. So she's really regrouped and doing a great job to close that gap again.
Definitely, that 109 lap was painful, but unfortunately it happened. I'm looking at the gap at the front, 1.6, 1.7, round about there. About to finish the 31st lap, so 4 to go. I don't see Fruity Spine making up that time without any issues, so if I was Mrs. M&M, I'd just be focused on my braking points, keeping the car on track and trying to hold on to this win. Annika just pushing to catch up as much as possible. Mrs. Fanatics maintaining the gap to Bev Mini Cooper. Margot 22 seconds behind after her adventures early on. Now running in the 59, 58s and 57s. And then Finneker Floy also back in the 56s and 57s.
Stephen?
Yeah.
Look at Margot's fuel. I don't think she's going to make the end of the race. She's going to have to go in for a splash and dash. I'll be very surprised if she finishes the race with the fuel she's got left.
At 51 seconds behind the leader, maybe a good move would be just to slow slightly to let them pass and then not have to do the extra lap. I see someone's gone off ahead. Well, there's a yellow flag.
Let's just see what's happened. Can't see anybody. Maybe
I think that's.
Let's just see what a sector time looks like. Spins it again. She's holding on to that bench.
She's got
just about.
As I mentioned, the leaders.
11.5 seconds. She spun it out.
With the leaders coming around, you're obviously going to hope that they move over for the blue flags. We see Finneker Floyd doing it. Now we've got Margot just ahead. Gaps up to 2 seconds on the lead between the top two. Margot keeping out the way. Very good sportsmanship from both the ladies.
Great driving there. Well aware of great awareness from her.
I see Fruity Spine caught up 4/10 on that corner. I think possibly M&M was slightly cautious into the last turn, but 2 laps to go. She did the right thing, waited for the right moment when MBLB moved over, went through and kept most of a lead. No incidents. I see Fruity Spines.
Yeah, back up to 1.7.
Yeah. I'm so impressed with both these ladies, or actually all of them, on this tough track with the car, but 35 laps here, running constantly the same pace without incidents is extremely hard. I know a lot of guys wouldn't do it, so big ups to these ladies. I see Caleb starting the final lap there, another 55.4 by Fruity, 55.8 by Mrs. M&M, 55.8 by Fruity Spine. Here comes Annika, who's got the gap from 17.5 down to 13.5 seconds. She has a 55.3, so
still doing the quick lap times. Mrs. Vandag, you see no man's land in 4th place. She's 3 seconds ahead of Bev Cooper and 11 seconds behind AR, so she's just running her own race in 4th place.
Yeah, remembering that Mrs. Finnick had knee surgery 2-3 weeks ago, so either she's on a controller, which she isn't used to, or she's driving with a injured leg.
No, I must say, she's a
trooper,
she's a lady of steel.
And it's her birthday. Sorry, I almost forgot. I did wish her on the group earlier. Mrs. M&M taking the flag there.
2.5 seconds from Fruity Spine.
Great drive by both of them. AR Outlaw coming around for 3rd. Margot and Finneker Floy finishing the race. I see Finneker Floy actually pitted there. Mrs. M&M Annalise, the birthday girl, coming around to take 4th. great job. And Bev Mini Cooper just behind.
The Beetle. And the ladies drove very well. Big cars on a small track, it's never easy.
Definitely. I think that's Mrs. Eminem's first place overall in the GTSSA League for this season and our previous races, so very well done to her. Obviously Mrs. Track Art, so go jump on our sponsors pages, Track Art and TGN Racing Simulators, give them a like, maybe share one or two of their posts. Let's help the guys that help us.
Yeah, so Stephen, what does the championship look like at the moment? Do you have any data on where the ladies stand in the championship as we speak?
Not offhand. It was Annika from Mrs. Finnick, but this will definitely bring Fruity Spine and Mrs. Eminem into the picture as well. With one throwaway race. Let's just actually give you a quick look. Driver of the day for me there, the front two ladies, starting at third and fourth. Mrs. Eminem did manage to get past when Fruity made that one slight, you can't even call it a mistake, she just drifted slightly wide.
It ran wide, yeah.
It wasn't even that wide, it was just enough to open the door. But besides that, 35 laps of this track without going off, brilliant from both of them.
And with MR configuration in cars, it's no mean feat. That's quite good driving from these ladies.
Yeah. Sorry.
And so consistent. They both stayed within each other for most of the race within a lap or two, within a second or two. So that was really well done by both of them. But the Annika had a few issues, but she did well to recover.
Definitely, and for us, it's great. It brings the points closer together. I'm sure Annika will be back at the next race to stamp some authority back on the championship.
Yeah, some damage limitation.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, great race, ladies. All did very well. I see one of the guys early in the chat asked if there's going to be a fun race after the ladies' race. I don't know if somebody wants to maybe jump in, but
Malose, great work from Kaylin. Night all going to be a long weekend. Thanks, Kaylin. Eminem, Mr. Vanna, well done to all, and congrats to your lovely lady. I think as far as that goes, I do have the results now. I was just trying to find the championship points, but I don't have them on my phone. So yeah, thanks to everyone who joined us. Thanks to the ladies. Anything from your side? Thanks, Mr. Stain, for helping us with the commentary. It's always great to have you.
Thanks for having me. First of all, thanks to the sponsors for yet again doing a great job supporting the ladies and the GTSSA leagues. We appreciate everything you do for us. Ladies, thank you for participating. You all did an absolutely fantastic job. And then to the viewers, thanks for supporting these girls and showing that you are invested in what they do for the leagues. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. That's about all for tonight. No problem. Just end the stream here quickly. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.